Hey guys, thanks for hitting the play button. It is Erica Sacoscio with the Childcare Director's Chair podcast. And this week I want to talk a lot about leadership. And I feel it's super important now more than ever, although I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. Our industry is going through a major flux right now. And we need leaders. We need leaders out there who are going to advocate for programs, advocate for families, advocate for children, and advocate for ourselves as business owners. So we really need to make sure that those leaders are out there talking to all of the major stakeholders. Now, I'm not going to get into advocacy today, but I am going to talk a little bit about what are 20 key principles that you need to consider when you are trying to master leadership in childcare. Before I jump into that, though, I do want to say that I am so grateful for all the listeners, and I say this almost every episode, and I'm going to continue to say it because I am extremely, extremely grateful. My listeners in Nevada, California, Rhode Island, Texas, Minnesota, and Arizona, I see you guys every single day on my stat board. Also, to my friends in Canada, it is so wonderful to be able to reach out to folks outside of my area. And Canada, you guys show up for me day after day. So I want to say thank you. I have so many great things that are going on for our podcast show right now. And we've been connecting with people on a national level and also international level coming onto our show to be featured in guest spots. And I cannot wait to share the best of the best in the world of ECE and youth care with all of you. One of the things I do need a favor, if I could so humbly ask. Many times when I am talking to folks as guests, as I said, I'm reaching out to like the top people and having the conversations that need to be had. And so I need a little support around my Instagram because when people look me up, I just came on Instagram not very long ago, and people look me up. I don't have a huge amount of followers, and not that should matter because, to be quite honest, you can be really amazing and have 0 followers. However, many of the folks that I work with are looking for, to be on podcasts that have a huge following. So if you wouldn't mind, if you use Instagram, if you could hop on over to RI_childcare DC. Again, that's RI_childcare DC at Instagram. Now, I don't normally ask for a lot of things on our channel, but I am going to start advocating for myself and for all of you because I want to bring you the best of the best. So let's hop into leadership. There's 20 key principles that I think are really important for you to know. And think about how many of these are you really great at and how many of these you need to continue to work on. And that's okay. We all have areas that we need to work on, me included. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the field. Don't let anybody fool you. We all have areas of strengths and weaknesses. So number 1 is communication skills. And I think that is the foundation for everything. And that's why we have so many episodes on communication skills. It needs to be clear, open, and effective. It's vital when you're interacting with children, parents, and staff. And it includes active listening, providing clear instructions, and feedback. And sometimes we're really afraid to ask for that feedback because you want everybody to like you, or you're afraid that you're going to hear that you're not doing as great a job as you thought you were. But that's okay because that's how we grow. And as I said, there is quite a few episodes on that topic in our library. Number 2 is you have to have patience. Children can sometimes be unpredictable, and it's so important to remain patient and calm in all situations. Again, your teachers are looking to you to see how you handle stressful situations. Are you running around like a chicken with your head cut off when your state inspector comes in for an unannounced visit? You shouldn't be. Because if you're doing the right thing, you should be calm. If you're doing the right thing and you have your systems in place and your teachers are trained, there's nothing to worry about. So having patience sets the tone for your business and your center. And again, your teachers are looking to you. And sometimes the patience isn't only with the children. Sometimes we need patience to work with our staff or other adults. And I sometimes make a joke when people, ask me, what do you do for a living? And I say, well, I'm a childcare owner of several locations. And they'll say, how do you do it? And I say, it's never the kids. The kids are the reason that I come back. Sometimes it's the grown-ups that give me the gray hair. So I know many of you know what I'm talking about. So, having that patience and also empathy, understanding and sharing the feelings of others, especially the children, it helps to create a supportive and nurturing environment. Also, when you are empathetic with your team, there is more of a feeling of openness where they feel comfortable to come to you. Or if you call them into the office to have a conversation, they're not feeling like they're being called down to the principal's office. And I think when we're talking to people or, with people, I think is probably the better word. When you're talking with people, should be a conversation, right? And active listening. Again, employing empathy is such a great attribute for a leader. And sometimes we think, a leader has to rule with the iron fist, and they do not. So I want to say that. When you are in leadership, you absolutely have to be adaptable, and you have to be flexible, be adaptable to changing circumstances. It's so important because if not, you're not going to make it. And so I don't mean to sound down about that. I mean to sound honest about that. Our industry is changing right before our eyes. And we have to be able to adapt. And we've been adapting, to be quite honest, for the last 5 years. And I think we'll still be adapting for the next 5 years coming up. We're going to have some major changes in the field. Some of you are already feeling that now. And so as the leader, you have to figure out what is your next move and how are you going to keep people excited and engaged with what that move is going to be, and also included as well. You have to have organization. You have to be able to manage multiple tasks, scheduling, responsibilities, compliance. That requires strong organizational skills. And if you're not great at that, that would be where I would invest time in terms of your professional development in organizational skills. And I'm always very transparent. Organizational skills is not my number one trait. It's not. There are folks around me who are very, very organized. And I'm not disorganized. And some people would say I'm very organized, but I'm really not as organized as other folks within my organization. But I am good at juggling multiple tasks. I set my own timelines, and I 99.9% of the time will meet those timelines because I know how to prioritize too. So something that is a priority that may be at the bottom of the list gets moved up right away. And maybe something that I kind of wanted to do, but it wasn't a priority, might slip down a little. But that's okay because I'm organized and I make sure that I get things done. So again, this is kind of an area that I've seen some of the folks in my organization and others become a little stressed out. So make sure your organizational skills are on point. And if they're not, do what you can. Get a book, take a seminar, take a course. I'm not selling any of those things. So I'm just telling you, again, my honest feedback. You have to be good at conflict resolution as a leader. You have to have the ability to mediate and resolve conflicts with staff, with parents, with children. It's so important to maintain a positive environment. If you do not resolve conflicts, you end up with a lot of drama, a lot of headaches, a lot of stress, people not getting along, people leaving the center. And so you really have to get good at conflict resolution. And one of the things I think that, I don't want to say I love it, but I do love to be ahead of it. So if I know there is going to be a conflict of some sort, or I hear some rumblings, I like to kind of get in and be in control of that situation and try to help mediate that as quickly as possible. And so that's, again, not something that we always see when we're looking for professional development, right? There might be conflict resolution for how do we help children resolve conflict, but how do we resolve conflict with staff and parents? Is it the same way? What skills do you have in your toolbox? So make sure as you're leading your team that you are good at that. And then there's team management. Leading and motivating your team of childcare providers requires strong leadership and team building skills. Think about it for a minute. When was the last time you did a team building activity? What was it? How did it go? Did they like it? Did they not like it? Did they feel funny about it? Everybody probably responded a little differently, right? Some people are introvert, some are extrovert. So think about the last time you did a team building activity. Take what they liked about it, do more of that. What they didn't like about it, try to find some alternative ways to reach everybody on your team where they feel good and comfortable about doing that. And I also believe we do have a few episodes on team building activities. So you can always check those out if you're a little stumped. And you have to be creative, certainly creative, finding creative solutions and engaging activities for the children to enhance their learning and play experiences. Also some creativity when you're setting up your center. You don't want it to be cookie cutter. You want it to stand out. You want to give it that wow factor. You want it to be a place where when parents tour, they don't forget, right? You want to stand out. So make your program as creative, fun, engaging as possible, and not just for the children, but also for the adults. What are you doing in there that make it exciting for the adults to want to return? Make it exciting for the parents at drop-off and pick-up, right? What are we doing? Of course, safety awareness is number one. Ensuring the safety and well-being of the children should always be your top priority. So as the leader, you're responsible for the center's safety plan. And not only having a plan, making sure that you take that off your shelf, it's dusted off, that everybody is aware of what to do in emergencies. You have a system in place and everyone knows how to use it, right? So important. With new people coming in, probably a little bit more frequently than you'd like, or a little bit more frequently than what you are accustomed to. Make sure that you are on top of your game when it comes to safety awareness.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And so used to having everything in front of them right away that we forget that innovation just takes time. I myself, I get frustrated too. Why? And this as being one of my best friends is, hey, I talk to you all the time. Hey, man, I'm frustrated in the fact that I can't seem to just get there in the next day. But that's just not how these things work, right? Innovation needs to be planned out. It needs to be very methodical. And then when it finally hits, that's when it seems like to everyone else that it sort of just came out of nowhere. But to you, the amount of dedication that it took over that time.
And, we live in such a global society. So cultural competence is so important. Being aware and respectful towards different cultures and backgrounds helps you create an inclusive environment. And you should really look for that cultural diversity in your program. You want your program to be culturally rich and a place that feels welcoming to everyone who comes. And so that takes skill. That happens with practice. It's more than, a checklist of, Do I have the right mix of posters and the right mix of books and all those things that are on, the Eckers and Itters rating scale, right? It's beyond that. So making sure that your team is culturally competent, that your program speaks the language of being culturally competent. And I think, again, we're so global now. And even if you live in an area that isn't very rich with diversity, how can you make sure that you include that in your program and that it's meaningful? Now, time management, we're all going to kind of chuckle here because we know effective time management is essential for balancing multiple tasks and responsibilities. And it seems like right now, it's a little hard to manage your time because you may be getting pulled in a lot of different directions. Many of you are covering in classrooms, me included. I will not lie. I was in a classroom yesterday. But I feel like when I'm in the classroom, I still try to use that time effectively. So maybe while I'm in there supervising children, maybe during their nap, I'm making notes on materials that need to be, maintenance that needs to be brushed up. What I saw with the code teacher, what was she excelling in, right? Because we tend to always find what needs to be fixed, but maybe too, we can use some of our time to focus on what's going right. So time management is a skill. You have to have a system in place. If you do not, you're going to not be effective. You're going to forget important things. Time management is super important. Again, we have several episodes in our library on time blocking, time management. There's several different episodes. Check them out if you haven't already and you feel like that's an area you're struggling. Professionalism. Maintaining a professional demeanor in all interactions is important for building trust and credibility. Never come out of character. And it's hard. It's hard, especially if somebody is, really coming at you and yelling at you and you have an irate parent in the front lobby making a scene in front of all the other parents. Sometimes it might be hard to stay professional, especially if you're so connected to your program and so, excited and passionate about what you do. It might be hard, but you have to remember all eyes are on you, right? And no matter what that person is saying, the more that you can hold it together and be professional, the more respect folks are going to have for you, right? So, professionalism, it's something that's ongoing. Become part of professional agencies and organizations. Get some mentors. Work with other folks that are not only at the same level as you, but on a bigger level that will push you to move further in your career. So I think that that's really important. You have to have passion, a genuine passion for working with children. That drives leaders to provide the very best care and support they can. And, passion is just, I think we could just do a whole episode on that because I know some folks are really struggling. They're struggling right now with, because of the changes and just the physical and mental burnout that can happen in a job like the ECE or early school age children. It can happen, the long hours and all of that. Sometimes the passion starts to fizzle out, but it's like any other relationship. You're going to go through ups and downs and I hate to say, remember your why, but, remember your why. And as I said, that time management, if you find yourself in classrooms, that's really a great time to reignite that passion, to get on the floor with those babies and toddlers and play for a little bit, or get in your preschool rooms and connect with the children and see how they are loving learning and engagement in your program. I always find that's one of the things that keeps me going. And sometimes people will say, well, gosh, Eric, when you talk with such passion because I'm connected. I'm connected to my program and my children and my families. And it feels so great to be able to do that. There's no other job that you walk into a room and, people are hugging you left and right. I mean, you can have a bad day and within 5 minutes and you're in a room with a whole bunch of little people, they can turn it around really quick for you. So yeah, I definitely feel like passion as a leader, you have to have it. Nobody wants to follow anybody who isn't passionate about what they're doing or has conviction about what they're doing. Now, this one probably should go without saying, but I have to say it. If you own a childcare center or you are a director of a childcare center, you have to have knowledge in child development. You have to understand the developmental stages and the needs of the children to help them, provide. And how are you going to tell a teacher to do better at their job when you don't know what you're talking about? Honestly. And I see it. People look at a childcare center like it's a business, which it is. However, there is another part to that. It's also a school where children go to learn, where parents bring their children to be cared for in academic and social improvement. So you absolutely have to have some concept of child development. Now, sure, you can hire people to work for you, your education coordinator, etc. What happens when they leave? And are they really, truly guiding your program the way that you would as an owner? So I really feel like you have to have knowledge in child development. If you have your MBA and business, that's all great. But I still think that you need to take some courses in early childhood development. And I say the same to my folks who have their early childhood development degrees. I say, go get some information on running a business. These things are married together to run a successful program. So it's important. You have to be resourceful, as we know, and as most teachers are, we typically are pretty resourceful in this field. I mean, we can make anything out of a cardboard box. So just having the ability to make the most out of the available resources and find innovative solutions is important for successful childcare management, because we all have budgets, right? We would all love to buy brand new playground equipment every year and, fill every shelf with the newest and latest and greatest materials. That's not always in the cards for everybody. So being resourceful, tapping into your community, seeing what things you can get at a discount or even free. So you have to have that skill. You have to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. Sometimes you have to be humble. It's okay to ask. So figuring out ways that you can use the resources around you. You absolutely have to have ethical standards. You have to uphold high ethical standards and integrity in all aspects of your job. This is essential for a positive reputation. So as a leader, you have to do what's right. Follow your moral compass. And resilience. We have to have that ability to bounce back from challenges and setbacks. As leaders, we have to stay focused and motivated. And as I said earlier, sometimes it's hard, and that's okay. Some of the things that I have done that really helped me was taking up meditation as a practice. Also making sure I drink my water, getting enough sleep, clearing my mind, making lists that take all the clutter that's in my mind of I got to remember to do this and that, and getting it out of my head onto paper. So there's lots of different ways that you can build resiliency and making sure that you're staying focused and motivated, and of course, self-care. I would say leaders definitely have to network. You have to build relationships with other childcare professionals and organizations where you can provide valuable support and resources. You can provide that to others, and they can provide that to you. I love networking. One of the reasons I love doing this show is, talking with so many folks outside of Rhode Island. I live in the smallest state, and although we're a pretty strong state, especially in the ECE field, We're a really strong state for a small state, and we have pretty high standards here in our state as well, and I'm proud of that. But networking with folks outside of the 401 zip code is just like nothing else. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to do that till I reach everybody everywhere. I want to learn so much more about the ECE fields from all of you. And I'd love to share what it is that I love about the ECE field. And so that brings us to the last two, which is continuous learning. Staying updated on the latest trends and the best practices in childcare is important for your professional growth. So make sure you have an individual professional development plan. Make sure that you stay on track. Do not just take PD hours for the sake of meeting a requirement. Think about when you are picking your courses. What do I need to know? And how will I implement it when I am done taking this course? Right? We go to conferences. What do you do when you get home? You're amped up for a couple of days and then the folder goes on a shelf, right? You can't do that. You have to make sure you're continuing to learn. And I learn every day. 25 years in, my gosh, going on 26, I continue to learn every day. I learn from all of you. I learn from others in the field, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I hope that you will come on the journey and do that with us as well. And lastly, all leaders need a positive attitude. I repeat, not be around negative attitudes for too long. It is draining. So maintaining a positive attitude can not only boost morale, it can also help create a supportive and encouraging environment for both the staff and the children. So I hope that helps you really dial down to what is essential for you to know when you are a leader in the childcare field. Now, I'm going to do a few episodes on some of these where we'll dig a little bit deeper. As I mentioned, at least 10 of these topics, we have at least 3 or 4 or 5 episodes on our in our library already. And we'll be bringing on some new guest spots to speakers to talk a little bit about some of these. I can't wait to have Andrea Dickinson on and talk about systems. She is just dynamite when it's about putting systems in place for your center to help you be able to free up your time to do the things that you want to, that you're passionate about, and also give your teachers the tools that they need to be successful. And I can't wait to have that conversation because she's delightful. But anyway, so as I said, if you would not mind to just give me a minute of your time and to head over to Instagram to follow RI_ChildcareDC, I would really appreciate it. Also, if you would like to engage with us and send us a question, you can inbox me. Send me a question or a topic you would like for us to answer on this show. If I can answer it, I will do an episode for you. If I can't answer it, I will find another peer in the field who can answer it, and we'll get them on the show. As always, I'd like to say it's the small details that make a big difference in the success of your childcare business. So that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, have a great day.